Hello! So today's video is going to be a book review of Henry III, The Son of the Magna Carta by Matthew Lewis. Now this book is very special to me because I got sent this book from the publisher, and the publisher also invited me to the book launch, which I went to. It was my very first book launch, and I filmed a bit of footage for you. So here is the footage from the book launch. Hope you enjoy it.
Publisher who has a passion for this period in history. There are plenty of academics out there who spend their lives and earn an annual stipend by doing their research, but to be able to communicate it and make a good narrative of that is a skill, and it really is. It's not one that everyone has, that many people have.
Henry is a bit of an enigma, a bit of a mystery. He's possibly a bit of a gap in everyone's historical knowledge. We know King John. We know he was awful. We know about Magna Carta. We know King Edward. And if you're Welsh or Scottish, he was awful. But we tend to, I think Henry falls into a little black hole in the middle. And yet he's the bridge between the disruption of 1216 and the control and the stability of 1272. So I think that Henry III really represents a big black hole in our understanding of that period of history.
So I hope you enjoyed that vlog footage of the book launch. As I said, it was my first one and it was really interesting to go to. I've never been to one before, and it was just interesting to see the way things worked, and also meeting the people from Amberley, but also Matthew himself. Matthew was really nice, and when you spoke to him, well, when I spoke to him, he was obviously very knowledgeable, but also very passionate about this part of history, and just history in general that tends to go a bit under the radar. So this book I was really excited to get my hands on. Actually, when I got home from the book launch, it was in my post box, so very good timing. I found this book really interesting, really informative, and generally I just had this question of why didn't we learn about him in school? So at school, it might be different now and it might be different elsewhere in the UK, but I learned about ancient Egyptians, dabble of the ancient Greeks, the Romans, and then Roman Britain, Celts, Vikings, 1066, a splash of the Magna Carta, and then suddenly it jumped from like Magna Carta time to like the Plague and Wars of the Roses. And Henry III definitely got overlooked. We didn't study him at all at school, and after reading this book I was just like, why? Henry achieved so much, why do we not learn about him? So after reading this book I realised how interesting Henry is. He ruled for 56 years. He was responsible for many building projects, although he was often quite poor and couldn't afford to pay for them. He had a good relationship with his son and the next king. And Matthew talks about a little story that there was an intruder that came into their bedroom, and the intruder came in to kill the king, but instead of like raising the alarm, he started talking to him, as you do, and it was his wife Eleanor that had to raise the alarm to the guard. But it was just interesting. When Henry came to the throne, it was in turmoil, to put it bluntly, and there was a lot of religious feuds going on at the time, and Henry had to try and settle the dust, if you will. Matthew discusses why he thinks Henry's been forgotten from history, and of course why we don't learn about him at school. He says that he's overshadowed not only by his father, but by his son as well. He is the kind of middle ground between the failures of his father and almost reforming England via his son. However, he should be remembered because the Plantagenets really started from him. The idea of being English and Englishness, is that a word? Starts from him. The Wars of the Roses, for instance, if you kind of map it back, always gets mapped back to Henry III. And although his father kind of gave birth to the Magna Carta, it actually wouldn't work without Henry III or his kind of great knight, William Marshall. Throughout this book, Matthew gives a very, very persuasive argument. He is very knowledgeable, but also very friendly. I like the use of political information tied in with family information as well. It's a nice mix up there. And this book definitely opened me up to new eras of history, and it's made me think that actually you might discount certain periods of history because you might think it's not your bag, and actually you'll find that really interesting and you'll want to learn more, which I do now. So I think the best way to sum up this book and to sum up Henry is to read you a little quote. Funnily enough, the quote is actually from the very last page of the book, but it goes something like this. He, as in Henry, represented stability in choppy waters. He was a bridge between chaos and calm that was trodden by a nation. It is perhaps unfair that the bridge has now been allowed to crumble and be forgotten. The son of the Magna Carta deserves to be remembered as a father of nations. I think that's very well put, and I think we often think of people like Henry and other monarchs too that have been forgotten through history, and we just dismiss them and we just think, oh, I'm not going to bother learning about them, but we really should. Henry might have been seen as a boring king, but actually sometimes boring is good because boring is stability and makes way for the next generation and the next change, if that makes sense. So go out and check this book out. Even if you think this is not your bag, maybe give it a try anyway, because I tried it out in the first place simply because I thought, right, I'm pushing myself into different eras of history. Let's just try it and see if I liked it. I found it really interesting. And I also think it'd be really interesting to see some women of this period as well. But also I think it's really important that don't actually just check this book out, but also other monarchs through history and other periods of history that you have discounted before because you think, actually, I don't know that much about them. I think they might be a bit boring or not to my taste. Check them out anyway, because they might actually surprise you. So that is my review of Henry III, the son of Magna Carta. I hope you enjoyed this. So I'm going to go and check out some more of Matthew Lewis's work. I think he's done a book on the Wars of the Roses, which I'm really interested in now, so I'm going to get my hands on that. So I hope you enjoyed this review. The book is going to be linked in the description bar below if you want to go and get your hands on it, and I shall see you soon for the next video. Take care for now. Bye!